geometric series. So once again, this means it's going to be a geometric sequence, and then I'm going to tell you to add certain ones together. You may have remembered from yesterday that sometimes only going out to the 20th term, the answer can get relatively large in a hurry, especially if r is, even maybe say bigger than 3 or 4. It gets big in a hurry. So to find the sum, I'm actually going to give you two formulas again, and you're going to have to figure out which one you're going to want to use. As far as substituting things into a calculator, if you're not real good with the calculator, you might want to stick with this one. It just is a little bit easier for most people to type in. If you feel pretty confident in the calculator, you could go with this one. It doesn't really matter. They'll both get you the sum. And I'll show you, I'll probably be using that second one to get you used to how to type that in, or if you really want to, I can always switch to that other one. Whatever one's going to help you the most, just let me know. And so get those in. Are they in there already for you? Yep, okay. So calculate the sum of each of the following. Now notice, you have a lot of options on these because I kept n relatively small. So on letter A, could you just write out the 7 terms and then add them up? That would be an option, right? So let's kind of keep that in the background. If you ever want to, you can always do that. But let's actually try using one of the formulas today. So do you want to use, it's up to you, do you want to use the first one or the second one? The second one, all right. So if I'm going to substitute that in, we're going to be saying, okay, it's the sum of the first 7 equals, and then you put a sub 1 in, which is 16. And 1 minus whatever r is, which is 1/2. A lot of times I kind of like to put parentheses around r. You don't really have to, but I like to do that because it really focuses my attention on r. And then it says to take it in the formula to the nth power. So 7. All over 1 minus 1/2. Before I ever go to the calculator to do these, what I like to do is normally figure out the denominator, because normally it's going to be something we can figure out pretty easy. And this one is 1 minus 1/2, and so the denominator is just 1/2, right? And so you can just write that way. So are there any questions how I substituted it into the formula that you chose? Right, now let's go to the calculator and show you how to type that in. So obviously the first thing you're going to type in is the 16. And then what's the, oh, that was a little weird. What's the next thing that you have written down? Yeah, a left parenthesis, right? So well, let's put one of those in. And then what's the next thing you have? Yeah. 1, right? Minus, right? And then put that parenthesis in. That's why I do it, because it helps me on the calculator. Is it okay at this time to put 0.5? Yeah, that's fine. Or if you want to put 1/2, how do you put 1/2 on the TI-83s? Yeah, you can just go 1 divided by 2 is all you got to do, and it'll take care of it for you. And so you can type 0.5, but I'm going to show you the 1 divided by 2. That's kind of how you do fractions right there. And what should I put now, do you think? Yep, close off the parenthesis. And what am I supposed to do to that 1/2? Take it to the 7th power. So yep, you use the caret key. And take it to the 7th power. And I would strongly recommend to just stop there. Do you agree that's pretty much what I wrote out? And that's really all you have to do. And that's why I like to put parentheses around r, because then it gets me so ready for this. If you want to, you could type the divide by 1/2 right now. But I'd say, why don't we be safe and let's just get the numerator. So just hit enter. And here's the nice thing. You can write that down if you want, in case you want to come and check this later. But the really nice thing is, if you hit any of these buttons here, the divide, multiply, subtract, add, if you hit that right now, it's going to give you answer up there first. And so we really want to basically divide by 1/2, right? So you could say divide by, notice how answer comes right up, and divide by 0.5 this time if you want me to write it that way. Or if you are going to divide by 1/2, you're going to want to go with parentheses again. So it's pretty safe that if you ever want to do fractions, put them in parentheses. And then you should be all right with the TI-83. Because unfortunately, it does no order of operations, and it does it very strictly. Whatever you tell it to do, that's what it's going to do. Instead of dividing by 1/2, what could I have done here? I could have just multiplied by, yeah, just multiplied by 2, right? You could have done that. There it is. So realize again that on this one, we could have just written out all the terms and added them up. But I just want to show you how to use the formula. So what do you suppose a very common mistake is on the second example? Well, A1 being 4, do you think that's a problem? N being 8, do you think that's a problem? R being negative? People mess up a lot. So let's write this one out before we go to the calculator. Do you want to stick with the same formula, or do you want to see one the other way, or same formula? Okay. So S sub 8, so sum of the first 8. So it's a 4, parentheses, 1 minus. Now what is it I told you or showed you to maybe write next? Yeah, let's put a parenthesis. Let's put R in there, which is a negative half. And then to the 8th power. And then it's over 1 minus a negative half. So I would like you to maybe slow down just a second, because I want to show you what the most common mistake is. Can we once again do the bottom kind of on our own, right? Because down here, I can actually go ahead and change it to subtract the negative, so add the out, so it's 1.5. Is it okay to just write it as 1.5? Well, sure. We're going to go to the calculator and have it do it anyways, so might as well. Can I do that same thing up here where it says subtract that negative is the question? Yeah, if you do order of operations, aren't you supposed to do the exponent of 8 first? Okay, so can I just cancel these negatives if that negative is supposed to go to the 8th power? You unfortunately can't. So I would type it in just the way we have it right here, and then divide by 1.5. Okay, so let's clear this out of here. And I got to just hit clear, no big deal there. And so what do we got there? A 4, and then a parenthesis, and 1 minus, parenthesis. Now, for the negative 1/2, be careful. I don't want to subtract 1/2 necessarily. I want it to be a negative 1/2. So you're going to have to hit the one down at the bottom here in white. Okay, so negative 1 divided by 2. Should I put a parenthesis now? Yep. Because now it's going to take that entire negative 1/2 and take it to the, well, let's take it to a power with the caret key. And what power did we want again? 8th power. Close it off. All right. I think, well, that'll be fine. And, yeah, I thought that was going to be a problem. So that's the answer? Why not? Oh, that's right. We got to divide by 1.5, right? So divide by 1.5. Do I have to put parentheses around 1.5 if I do it like that? No, it's going to know what that is. It's not a problem. So that's the answer? Yeah. And here's a key that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. It's under the math one. So under math, the very first option is to take your answer to a fraction. So you just hit enter. It'll take my answer to a fraction if it can. And there you go. If you want to write it that way. So you can write it as 85 over 32 or 2.65625. Okay, it's under math. And then the very first, just hit enter. Yep. Hit enter and then hit enter again, and it'll take it to a fraction if it can. And in fact, on our note, everybody good with this? On our notes, I think we'll be skipping that next example and go to example 3. So calculate the sum. Well, I've given you the first term. I've given you a term out there a ways, and I've given you R. Is there any place in either one of our formulas for A sub n? You might have to use a previous formula. And this is geometric. How do I know this is geometric? Obviously it says so, but what if they didn't tell me? How would I know it's geometric? It has R. Very good. So the other formula is A sub n equals the first term times R to the n minus 1 power. I better get that out of there. All right. Well, do you want to stick with the same formula we've been using for sum then? Just stick with that one? Okay. So do I know the sum? Nope, that's what I want to find. Do I know how many terms it is? Yeah, I don't even know that. But I do know the first term. That's 4. 1 minus, do I know the rate? Well, yes, I do. It's 4. Unfortunately, I don't know n. And then 1 minus 4 on the bottom. So I don't know the sum or how many terms there are. So let's go over here and find out how many terms there are. Here's 256. A sub 1 is 4. R is also 4. And what power should I take it to? Well, n minus 1 is the best you can do. Now, this first 4 is just sitting there by itself, correct? This second 4 has a power to it, so that's not good. But the first 4 we can get rid of by dividing by 4, so then those right there cancel. Divide by 4. How does that work out? Yep, 64 equals 4 to the n minus 1 power. Now, there is a variable in the exponent, so we very well could use logarithms if we felt like it. Or 64, we can manipulate a little bit. We can get the bases the same. And remember, if you can, you don't have to use logarithm. So 64 is 4 to the 3rd. Very good. Equals 4 to the n minus 1, right? And what did we do in that other chapter once we got the bases the same like that? Yeah, get rid of them. Yeah, you don't need them anymore. All you need to do is figure out n minus 1 will equal 3. So n is 4. A lot of 4s in this problem. Is that what they wanted? Did they want to know how many terms there were? No, they wanted the... So that 4 is going to go right there. So why don't you go ahead and type that one in right now and find out what you get. All right, on this one, you found out it was 4. And then what'd you find out for the sum? The sum of the first 4 terms is 340. Now, I'm hoping that at some point you realize geometric, they go up pretty fast when R is big. Let's look at this problem. We started at 4. We were going to multiply by 4. Was it really going to take us that long to get to 256? So in this case, could you, if you felt like it, written them out? Because you knew it was not going to take you that long to get to 256. And I hope you get to that point where you see a problem like that and say, wait a minute, I'm just going to write them out. Why use the formula? It doesn't take that long. Now, on the other hand, you look at this one, multiplying by 3, and I'm giving you the sum, and I want the first term. Well, that's kind of difficult. In fact, as written, you can't do it. But you will be able to in a second when you add this little number in there. I'm going to tell you S sub 8 is 13,120, and that R is 3. Is that what's on yours? Okay, very good. Now you can do the problem. It was not on mine. Once again, you have to decide which formula you want to use. It really doesn't matter, and it seems like you like the second one. So this right here is 13,120. First term, we don't know. 1 minus 3 to the 8th. Very good. Me giving you that 8 allowed you to know how many terms there were. And then 1 minus 3. So in other words, our bottom is -2. So on this one, what's probably the best step of algebra to start with here? Yeah, get that -2 out of there. Let's multiply both sides by that. Is it okay that it changes my sum to a negative? Yeah, that could happen. That's possible. And so what do we get? We got a negative what? Not surprisingly, negative 26,240. Whoops, got to write the 1 first. Now, I'm not sure what you're going to want to do, but I will tell you what I would do. Are you going to agree we're probably going to type most of this into a calculator anyways? So let's let the calculator do it. Let's set it up so we can just type this in. Let's just divide all of this out of here. And then we can just type that in. But you, once again, have to be a little bit careful. Watch your parentheses. So the negative's down there. Make sure you use the right negative or it might give you an error. So what should I type next? Based on where I'm at right now, what should be the very next thing I type? A parenthesis, so that it divides by everything that's in these parentheses. If you don't, it's only going to divide by a small portion of it. So 1 minus, parenthesis, what's R again? 3? Now some people are saying they have a surprising answer to this. You think it's too small? Is that what you think? Oh, I have something. Yeah, number 4. Yeah, so the first term is 4. Okay, I like that you're questioning that. So could it possibly be 4 for the first term? Well, if you're multiplying by 3 each time, is that going to go up in a hurry? It's going to go kind of slow for a little while, and then it just takes off. And so in just 8 terms, it gets out to 13,120. And so watch out for geometric. They can get really big in a real hurry, or they can get real small in a real hurry if it's like 1/2 or 1/10 or something like that. Okay? For your R. Okay? Any questions?